You could be doing excellent work, showing up on time, being polite to everyone, and still be quietly damaging your career every single day through phrases so common you've probably said at least one of them this week without thinking twice. Give me the next few minutes and I'll walk you through the phrases that quietly cost people their jobs, their promotions, and their reputation. The ones almost nobody realizes are dangerous until the damage is already done. Phrase number 1. That's not my job. It feels justified in the moment. You're protecting your time, your role, your boundaries. But this phrase, said even once, in the wrong moment, in front of the wrong person, quietly rebrands you as someone who isn't a team player. There's a difference between reasonably declining something outside your scope and saying this specific phrase, which almost always lands worse than intended, regardless of how reasonable the underlying boundary actually is. Here's what to say instead, when you genuinely do need to set that boundary. I want to make sure this gets done well. Is this something that should go through me, or would it fit better with someone else's role? Same boundary, completely different perception. Phrase number 2, I'm just being honest. This phrase almost always follows something blunt, and it's usually meant as a shield, as if honesty automatically excuses how something was delivered. It doesn't. People remember how something made them feel far longer than they remember the accuracy of what was said. This phrase, ironically, often makes people trust you less, not more, because it signals you prioritize being right over being effective. Phrase number 3. This is how we've always done it. Said in response to a new idea or a proposed change, this phrase quietly brands you as resistant to progress, even if your underlying concern is completely valid. The problem isn't having concerns about change, it's this specific phrase, which shuts down the conversation instead of contributing to it. A better version. Here's what's worked well with the current approach, and here's what I'd want to make sure we don't lose if we change it. Same concern, framed as contribution instead of resistance. Phrase number 4, I don't have time for this. Even when it's completely true, this phrase makes whatever you're declining sound unimportant and makes the person who brought it to you feel dismissed. It's rarely about the words being false, it's about how final and closed off they sound, with no room for prioritization or discussion. Phrase number 5, it's not fair. This phrase, especially said in a group setting, signals something specific to the people around you, that you're measuring your effort against everyone else's, and that your motivation depends on constant, visible equity rather than the actual work itself. Even when something genuinely isn't fair, this exact phrase tends to work against you far more than it works for you. Phrase number 6, I already told you that. Said in response to a repeated question. Even from genuine frustration, this phrase creates an unnecessary moment of embarrassment for the other person, and it rarely gets remembered as they were right. It gets remembered as that was an uncomfortable interaction with them. The information being correct doesn't offset the social cost of how it was delivered. Phrase number 7, and this is the one that quietly does the most damage over time. Whatever you think is best. Said repeatedly in response to real decisions you actually have opinions about, this phrase seems agreeable and easy on the surface. But over time, it quietly erases you from decisions entirely. People stop asking your opinion at all because you've consistently signaled you don't really have one, even when you genuinely do. Here's what ties all 7 of these together. None of them are said with bad intent. They're usually said in completely reasonable moments from understandable feelings, frustration, honesty, fairness, boundaries. The problem was never the underlying feeling. It's that these specific phrases translate that feeling into something that works against you, consistently, in ways most people never connect back to the actual words they used. Let's talk about the pattern underneath all 7 of these, because recognizing it is more useful than memorizing each phrase individually. Almost every one of these phrases prioritizes being technically right, or immediately honest, over how the moment actually lands with the person hearing it. Workplace communication isn't just about accuracy, it's about impact. The most respected people at work aren't the ones who never have boundaries, criticism, or honest opinions. They're the ones who've learned to deliver all of that in a way that builds trust instead of quietly eroding it. Here's a practical way to catch yourself before saying any of these, before responding in a moment of frustration or bluntness. Pause for even 2 seconds and ask, is this about to sound dismissive, closed off, or checked out, even if that's not how I mean it? That 2-second pause is often the entire difference between a phrase that damages your reputation and one that doesn't. This channel breaks down exactly these kinds of things, the small, quiet patterns that shape how people see you at work long before any performance review ever happens. Subscribe if this was useful because there's a lot more where this came from.